Well, our churches and our lives as Christians should be about the power of God, shouldn't they? That's what we're being reminded of through 1 Corinthians 4:20, where we started. And now, as we're asking ourselves the question, what kind of power is God going to begin to work in us as we seek Him for that? Or what should we be asking God to do in terms of His power working in us according to the Scriptures? Well, last time we saw that the power of God is to come on us in such a way that we're changed. See, that's what power does. It changes a situation. It changes a person. And so it changes us. But today what we're going to talk about is that second aspect of God's power that can come on us as promised in the Bible, that actually moves through us to bring about change in people and situations around us. Isn't that amazing to think about? Wouldn't you love, I know I would love to see God working through me in such a way that I can see heaven coming to earth. I can see people's lives being transformed, not by me and my strength or my talents, but by God's power working in me. See, that's what Paul laid down as really the norm for Christian ministry, whether you're in full-time ministry or not. Paul said, my message and my preaching were not with wise and persuasive words, but with a demonstration of the Spirit's power, so that your faith might not rest on men's wisdom, but on God's power. Paul put himself in a position where he said, I'm not going to use the best of my abilities. Of course, you do the best you can. But I think he had this stance that he took where he said, I'm not depending upon those things to bring about the difference. I'm depending upon the supernatural power of God to work when I'm doing the best that I can to preach. And that's the way that we need to begin to shift our focus in our lives, is not what's the best that I can do, what's the best that we can do in our churches to market and reach out to people and serve people. We need to do all those things. But much more, much more, we need to be crying out to God and saying, God, I'm not depending upon my best abilities. I'm depending upon a demonstration of you. That you will do something when we meet in this room on Sunday mornings or whenever we meet together. That when I go out and I seek to be a light for Christ wherever I am, that something is happening that I might not even understand or be able to calculate or be able to see with my natural eyes. But the Spirit of God, the power of God Most High, is somehow working in, with, through, or sometimes in spite of me. I think about a friend that I know who says that he prays that God's light will be so apparent on him, God's Spirit will be so evident on him that wherever he goes that people will notice that. And he told me of a story one time where he was just in the aisle of a convenience store and somebody came up to him and they just kind of slowly, softly approached him and they said, will you pray for me? There was something about him that drew that person to them. I've heard a pastor tell a story similarly where he said before he would go into this particular store where he knew the store owner and was trying to bring him to Christ, he said he would just wait a minute before he opened the door to go into that store and ask for the Holy Spirit to come on him. And he'd just wait and pause for a few moments until he sort of felt the Spirit of the Lord on him. And then he would enter in. And sure enough, over time, that store owner was intrigued and said, there's something different about you and about when you come into my store. You see, the Spirit of God can work on us and through us in that kind of way. That's the sort of power, that's the sort of change, that's the sort of effect and difference that we ought to be making in this world as Jesus' disciples. Let's be seeking God, that He will begin to pour and continue to pour that power into us in much greater ways.